What we have in our hand is Northwing just recently put out a safety directive that literally involves every wing they've ever built. Now, most won't be affected from what we know, but it is important that you check. If you've already received the notification, which hopefully you have, you've already made the check. And then whether your tip caps are in spec or out of spec, we'd still recommend that you upgrade to this new tip cap, and I'm going to explain the difference right now. So one of the problems which may have arisen around the COVID times is when the material of ABS changed. So the mold is a 26-year-old mold. It's always worked. We've never had an issue. And it looks like we've gotten some shrinkage. And what this shrinkage has done, this goes on the end of the wingtip, which I'll show you right here. And this is a very important part of the wing because this holds the leading edge tension onto the metal leading edge. So this yellow strap is under a tremendous amount of stress and holding a tremendous amount of force, and so it's important that that strap keeps its integrity. Now what we found is with the shrinkage that the metal, and this is a shim, this particular one we're going to work on doesn't have any shims in it, but it can have a shim, it can even have two shims, but it's possible you could see that that metal is actually sticking up slightly. And if that yellow strap is riding on that metal, it can wear the strap down prematurely. It could even cut the strap potentially. And so very, very important that you're inspecting that. And we're going to show the inspection, but we're also going to show the replacement of the cap. So this one doesn't necessarily need it. It's in spec. But on the other hand, we're going to go ahead and upgrade it for two reasons. One, we don't know if over the next 4, 5, 6 years this will have any additional shrinkage that could create a problem. Where you have a real problem is where this little tiny lip, which is only 30 thousandths, so it is a very, very small lip, which is why this 50 thousandths wall aluminum tube is actually exposing some of itself to you when you look this direction. And so all it has to do is shrink enough and it can fall inside the leading edge. So with that said, this is a 3D printed carbon reinforced plastic. It's beefed up as well, but the important change on this is it has an 80 thousandths shoulder on it instead of a 30 thousandths shoulder. So this is literally almost triple the wall thickness here. And so now when we slide that same shim over this piece, you can see none of the metal is exposed. And in fact, the plastic is actually exposed hanging over the edge. So you're not going to have the strap being able to get to that sharp edge or potentially sharp edge of the leading edge or of a shim. So we're going to be swapping out the old ABS molded plastic tip cap for the new 3D printed carbon reinforced tip caps. So here's how we do it. First thing we're going to need, assuming that you're wanting to do it with the wing installed on your trike and not take the wing off of the trike, which you certainly do, is we're going to work on a ladder and try to get to everything while it's on top of the trike. It is the shortest, easiest way to do it. And so here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the control bar back to the seat. And I'm going to pull that forward so it stays forward. And I'm going to take my Phillips screwdriver and come up here, remove my nose cone, and now we have these screws. Now these screws aren't doing a whole lot right now, which is why I'm able to take them out and put them in when the wing is fully built. You can see that hole lines up. And so what is this for? Mainly the reason is when you fold the wing, this fabric and that yellow strap will literally fall off the tip cap if this is not in place. Now the more you fold it back, the looser the leading edges will get, to the point where a wing that's fully folded back, like this one here, take a look and see what we got. Open this up and you'll see that the nose screw is in right now, which means I can't stretch it over. If I remove that nose screw, this fabric can just slide on down the leading edge. I remove this nose screw. Now, you want to see the definition of loose. We open this up. You can see where the yellow strap was with the nose screw in at the nose. Now I'm going to just open up the white strap. and I'm gonna pull. And watch this. I can keep pulling this down. In fact, my sprog, I think, is holding things. But look at how much space I have. I can stick my finger in here. So if you can't get the yellow strap over, it just means you've got either too many battens still remaining in the wing, or that you haven't folded the wing enough. So it can be a very effortless fold. It's just how much work, how much pulling. I tend to pull as few ribs as I can, and I know I can pull hard enough usually to get it. This is a leading edge shim, and this is what it looks like when you have a shim. On this yellow wing that we're going to be working on, we don't have a shim, but the procedure is exactly the same. So now that we've got our nose screws out, we're going to bring the control bar back forward again. And that's going to get the wingtips as low as possible for me. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my sprogs. It's on a rival X-wing. And this is going to be, again, any Northwing out there. So if you've got a Signet with a K20, if you've got one of the ultralight wings, a Maverick, a single surface, all of these wings are going to basically need to be inspected. And then we do recommend that you upgrade the cap regardless, just so you ensure that you don't have any future problems, but you don't need to. Just read the safety directive that's been put out. This is the outboard sprog. You may or may not have an outboard sprog. You may have just a dive stick. This is the inboard sprog. And now that really drops the wing down to where I can get to it. Now, removing battens while it's tensioned, you can do that, but you can only do that on the first 5, or that's my recommendation. You don't want to pull out any more than the tip area, because these have a small enough camber that you can see they're sliding out easy enough, so it's not a real big deal. And so now we're just going to go ahead and we'll do the other side exactly the same. That's the undersurface tip batten. Again, you may or may not have one of those on your Northwing or your Evolution wing. And every wing that's on an Evolution is built by Northwing. So no matter which model you have, you need to inspect these tip caps and recommended replacement. Go ahead and pull out these 5. And then the actual tip cap I'm going to pull out now before we detension it on both sides. So we're going to compress this spring. We're going to fold the tip batten, and that's what brings it out. And then just let that forward. Don't let it spring loose, because it can blow out these rivets over time. So just release that spring. It's fun to snap them back, but they'll only do that a few hundred times. When the nose of a wing is up and you detension it, gravity is going to try to fold the wing back. So especially if you got a nice porcupine of a prop like this 5-blade from E-Props, you want to make sure that you don't allow that wing to swing into your propeller. So as I release this haul back, it's important that I have some kind of mechanism that I can stop the haul back from going all the way forward and letting the wingtips all the way in, because they will want to collapse. Now, how much to bring the wingtips in? That's a tricky situation. That's going to be based on how tight is the wing. The tighter the wing is, the more you'll have to tend to bring the wingtips in to be able to get these yellow straps off. Again, by the time it's fully folded, the straps will fall off, but you can't fully fold this wing unless you remove all of the battens. So I'm trying to minimize the amount of work here. And also, I didn't do it, but you can certainly remove the nose ribs, and that'll definitely help out quite a bit with sail tension. So if I have any trouble getting this, I can go ahead and remove the nose ribs afterwards. So I'm just kind of guessing here. It's always just kind of a guess. About like that. Now take a look back up and see how much this is folded. So not a whole lot. And we're going to see just how tight this is. I suspect it's going to be fairly tight. I'm going to remove this white Velcro. I'm going to go ahead and grip the leading edge like so. I'm gonna grip with 2 fingers this black strap and I'm gonna pull. And that was very difficult, but I got it off. If you couldn't get it off, then what you'd need to do is maybe remove those nose ribs as well. You can just slide them off or fold the wing back a little bit further. So whatever it takes. Now, we don't want to just do one tip cap and put it all together and then do the other, because the first one's always hard. Now the fabric can kind of shift from left to right. So watch how easy it is to remove the tip cap strap on this side. And this one should be very effortless.
I want to show them the Velcro.
Yep, there's the Velcro. Okay. And now this one finger right off. So make sure you do both of them, get the one side on easy, and then one side will always be difficult. I always do the left so that I can pull with my right arm. I'm right arm dominant, have a little bit more strength there. But again, it's not a strength thing. If you don't mind taking more ribs out, folding the wing more, then you can make the strap come off as easy as you want it to come off. But this, I just removed 5 ribs and detensioned. That's all I needed to do to get these out. So with that said, we're going to get a screwdriver. Using this screwdriver, and I'm going to back out one of these screws until I see it come out a good 3/8 of an inch, about like that. And then I'm going to back the other one out equally. And usually, but not always, the screws are going to back out in a way. I'm going to cover this so I'm not hitting my palm on the screwdriver. I'm going to cover it like this, and now I'm going to actually hit my own hand, and that's going to sink these screws in like so. And with that said, I can rotate this and pull this. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is that we want to look at the rotation of this. We have these 4 lines. Before you remove these tip caps, you need to see where this is. In my case, I was between the 3rd and the 4th line. If you want, you can take a pencil and you can mark where this screw lines up. But on most wings, if you go to the top line, that's a great setting, but you may have your tip cap down here tuned for a turn. So before you loosen this tip cap up, make sure you're aware of the orientation of this before you pull it out. All right, so when we do pull this off, what we need to do now is we're going to pull this away and we're going to flip this inside out. So what you're looking at here is a brand new strap, and so the inside of it looks exactly the same as the outside. So when you inspect your strap, and I'm going to show you some photos of a compromised strap, and here's what that looks like. And basically, if you have any question, if there is any wear, you need to send us photos, and you know, when in doubt, let's just do further evaluation of the wing. Your sale can be sent into Northwing. There's no charge to have the straps replaced, and you know, photos will go a long way if you think you do have some excessive wear. And obviously, if it's very obvious that you have excessive wear, then you definitely need to contact Northwing right away. And we have another video on how to remove your sail if that is the case. Now, the way this tip cap works is when you tighten these screws down, it pulls this base up into it, which spreads the tip cap out. This base does get reused on the new 3D printed tip cap. So I've gone ahead and I'm going to use an electric screwdriver to remove these screws, or I'm going to wear myself out today. And we're going to reuse the screws as well as the base that's inside. And now that we've got that loose, you can bring the screw all the way through and then put it in the hole. Do the same on the other side. That might be the easiest way to get those lined up to get them started. And I want to point out that this is tapered. So the taper, the small side, goes towards the part. It flares out on this side. Also, you'll see the X on the bottom of this versus a flat side is what inserts into the tip cap. So that's going to spread it, and you can actually probably watch it spread as I jam that in there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to choke up these screws so that there's not so much hanging out. Not looking to draw it in just yet. So you can see I'm still outside. And you'll notice on this 3D printed tip cap, we actually have an arrow. It is just the same as where the screw is, but you're lining up the arrow now with the old mark. And if you remember, we were between the 3rd and the 4th. So when I put this in, it should just fit right in there, just like that. And right there, that's where it was. Now it may be a hair off. So again, if you want to be more accurate, and you probably should be, use a pencil to mark the old tip cap before you remove it so that you can put this exactly in the same orientation. I'm gonna go ahead and just use a screwdriver to tighten this down. And I'll feel this starting to snug up here, and when it does, don't go crazy on it. I'm gonna go to the other side. I'm gonna feel it kind of start to snug up. Don't go crazy on it. And you're gonna work this back and forth. That gets snug. Now this one gets snug. And I'm drawing that base inside the leading edge. That's getting really tight. And this side now is getting really tight right there. And they will stop turning. It won't be a question of, well, how many turns. You'll literally feel it just snug down to where they stop moving so much. So now I'm getting, you know, 1/8 of a turn and 1/8 of a turn. The next one might be less than 1/8 of a turn. Yep. And that's tight, and that's tight. One more check. It's not moving, barely moving. That's it. That's it. That thing is tight. It's not going to rotate. Recheck. See that that arrow's between the 3rd and the 4th, and it didn't move while I was doing so. And now we're going to go do the same to the other side. We're going to go ahead now and insert this. And it doesn't matter which way it goes, meaning you've got an arrow on this side and you have an arrow on this side. And this part is symmetrical, top to bottom, right to left, however you look at it. And so you can put this in any orientation, so long as you turn your arrow back to where it was supposed to be, which is right here. Now we can tighten it down, and we're going to be in position just the same as if we put it like this. That's the same position relative to the strap. That's all the strap knows. And now what I'm going to do is use the black strap, make sure there's no twist in this yellow strap. I'm going to pull it over, which is fairly easy because the other side's not done yet. I'm going to Velcro this white strap back.
Let me show them the yellow. Okay. Make sure it's flat on there, not hung up on the corner.
Yep. Sometimes you can have the yellow strap trying to take a shortcut over the corner, and that could also damage the yellow strap as well. So very, very important that it's seated properly like it is here. Now, this is usually about the same. If you got it off, you should be able to get it back on again, but let's see. Again, make sure there's no twist in this. I'm going to grip this here.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull and push. I'm pushing with my right, I'm pulling with my left. And this is a little tight, so I don't think I can get that back on without really straining myself. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen up the haul back a hair more. But you saw how easy it was to get on the other side because it was the first side. So with that, I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to release this a little bit more. And I may wind up going and releasing the nose ribs as well. Also, some of the root battens can be released as well. And there she is. So I definitely had to pull pretty hard to get that on. Okay, so ensuring that, now you see here's what we call a hang up. That's what you don't want. That will definitely can dig into that yellow strap. So I'm going to give this a little bit of a twist like this.
The leading edge you're twisting on the outside.
Yep, the fabric, and now you can see it's going around a little bit more. And just make sure that that's seated inside the channel without hanging up anywhere. Now we're properly seated, so that's also very important. Okay, and now it's time to haul this back. You reach up. This can be quite a pull sometimes. Now I'm going to remove my rope that was holding all of this. And a little trick is angle this catch on about a 30-degree angle. And that way when you pull it back, it's much easier to catch. And you can hold this down with your finger to open it. And just like that, right on. If you have the 2-to-1 pulley on some of the wings they do, you can get out your pulley and you can pull on your rope to bring that cable back for you. But most Northwings are light enough to just pull it back into position. The things that'll stop somebody from pulling it back is if they have the wings set on the tight side. That'll make it harder to pull back. Too many shims, a tighter setting on the haulback cable. We have 3 settings on the haulback cable. I typically run in the loosest setting, and that looks like this. There's a quick release on the right side you can't really see, but this bolt can go here, here, or here. So obviously this is the tightest setting, and you saw that we're in the loosest setting with no shim. So that's about as loose as this wing's made to be set up. I really enjoy a loose wing. They tend to handle the bumps a little bit better, a little bit quicker, lighter roll rate. So that's what I enjoy personally. But the other thing that'll stop you from hauling back a wing is if the sprogs are up. So you want to make sure the sprogs are down and the tip battens are out, and that'll allow you to haul it back much easier. We're going to start with the largest and work our way in. And normally you would tighten up the string on each one of these battens and then do the sprogs. But on the latest versions of the Rival X, the upper and under surface are strung together. Well, we need to be able to reach and get to our sprogs. And so in order to do this, we're going to have to leave the string off, and we'll do the string last. Again, we're working on the wing up and on the aircraft. Not an ideal situation, but in an effort to try and save a little bit of time, we're just not taking the wing down to get to everything. So I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to bring the sprog out. That's very important. If you don't lift up on the trailing edge, then it's going to be very difficult to get that sprog out. And you see I kind of missed the Velcro, but now I'm going to capture it. And this is important. This needs to move side to side. A lot of people tighten that Velcro down very tight around the sprog. Don't do that. Let that sprog have some room to breathe. It needs to slide in and out of there. Same thing with our outboard sprog. This one I can reach. And a lot of different wings will have a zipper here where you can go in through the zipper. On the Rival X, we're going in through the trailing edge since it's open and we don't have a zipper. And now we're going to go ahead and bring our strings on. The trick to putting on strings is to push with my right and pull with my left. But again, if that's too difficult, you're going to put the bottom on, put a screwdriver through the top, through here, and pull. And that makes it real easy. So real quick, that looks like this. And you can just do that down the line that quickly. Again, the tip batten could be the trickiest part of the whole wing. When you get to know it, you know it. Put a bend in there and you can let that slide go. Now this thing will bite. It'll take skin off your fingers. Don't stick your finger in here. But when you put a bend in there, it will not come back, obviously. And then that's gonna hold it in place. We have 2 hooks. We have a top and a bottom hook on the Rival X. Most of the Northwings out there, most of the Evolution wings will have 2. Most Northwings have 1. The top hook goes to the upper tip batten. And so I'm gonna put it on, I'm gonna leave it on there, and then if you'll back out with the camera, I'm gonna bring the fabric to the tip batten like this.
Let me come on this side.
I'm gonna bring the fabric to the tip batten like so, and then I'm gonna straighten out the tip batten. Once it's straight, I'm gonna allow that slide to come back. The undersurface tip batten, if you have one, goes through the pocket, the undersurface pocket, comes out, and goes to the lower hook right there. And then this secures just like the rest of the battens. If you're gonna use the screwdriver trick, you go through, over, and you're done. And so this side of the wing is complete. Of course, what we need to do next is the other side, and then we're gonna go ahead. Last thing we're gonna do is install the nose screws back in and secure the nose cone. And so if you wanted to remove these nose ribs, again, you just pull up and out. And I tend to pull these up and out together, and that'll relieve it. You can't relieve it a whole lot on the wings that have speed trim because there's a trim motor in here, which is part of the reason I tend not to. But if you don't have that trim motor, you can absolutely remove these nose ribs, and you can get a lot more slack in the sail when you do this shim removal. So that's why I actually didn't remove the nose ribs when I just changed these out. But one thing now, it's put back together, and this hole is pretty much lined up with the grommet. If that's not the case, sometimes you will have to unperch the nose rib a little bit, like so, and then that helps to line that up even a little bit better. And then you'll put your screw in, tighten this guy down. Be careful about over tightening it. You are going into fairly thin wall aluminum. It's got a few sleeves there, so it's not horribly thin. And we'll do the other side real quick. And this also does help to hold the nose ribs down, or the fabric down onto the nose ribs, especially like at high speed or in heavy turbulence. So those screws help, and then these handles that can go underneath the keel, like so, that also is on purpose a little bit. Shouldn't need it, but again, it's just a little bit of extra safety. Now, a lot of people don't put enough emphasis on the nose cone. This is incredibly important on pretty much every wing out there. It will change the speed range of the wing. It will change the pitch stability of the wing. There are some wings I can think of that don't use it. There are no Northwing products or Evolution Trike wings that don't use a nose cone. If this seam is split open from maybe folding the wing with and forgetting to remove the nose cone, if this gets damaged or it's not installed properly, or somebody forgot to install it, you're gonna have a big surprise on takeoff, typically with the control bar coming in and it being like bench pressing 150 pounds to flare the wing back out. So make sure that that nose cone is on. Will you know on takeoff? Yes, but sometimes you know, you don't really, it takes a few seconds to figure out, hey, I need to land this thing, and now you're in a landing situation with the nose cone off. No fun. Ask me how I know. I've done it, but just make sure you get that nose cone back on there. And now this wing is pretty much ready for pre-flight. I see a zipper left open, so make sure you go around, check all of your work, obviously, after doing the tip cap replacement. If you're not replacing the tip caps and you just needed an eyeball look at the inside of your yellow straps and you're going to leave your tip caps on, obviously everything we did with the exception of removing the tip caps, that's how you're going to get to see the inside of your yellow straps. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys can pretty much all get upgraded. I think it's just a much better long-term design with the larger shoulder that cannot fall inside the leading edge no matter what. Check out that safety directive at northwing.com, or you can email us anytime, evolutiontrikes@yahoo.com, and we can forward you that safety directive from Northwing for your wing. Thanks for watching.